सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। So Hari Om, salutations to all. Prarabdha for the saint, that is what we are seeing. And we saw in the last verse, is 460, 459 and 460. Karmana nirmito dehaha prarabdham tasya kalpyatam. Nanaderatmano yuktam naivatma karma nirmitaha. So if one says there is prarabdha for the saint, then it is actually prarabdha which is there only for the body of the saint. The saint is not identified with that. And so prarabdha does not belong to the one who has awakened. Because that Atma is unborn. Naivatma karma nirmitaha. Prarabdha, this body that the Mahatma has is because of the karma of the past. But the Mahatma who has realized the self has woken up to understand I am pure consciousness unborn. So that understanding of prarabdha is for the body, not for the saint. And that was supported by the scripture here. 460 said, Ajo nitya shashvata iti brute shruti amoghavak. This is the declaration of the scripture. Kathopanishad and then the Gita, both of them say Ajo nitya. It is unborn, it is eternal, shashvata, permanent. So this is the amoghavak. It cannot be contradicted. It is the absolute declaration of the scriptures. Tadatmana tishtato asya. One who identifies with that unborn, eternal, pure consciousness. Kuta prarabdha kalpana. How can there be prarabdha for that self? Because self is unborn. So this shloka, Ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano, we will see the commentary of Puja Gurudev on that.
So continuing from the highest standpoint, visualizing the world and its happenings in us from the standpoint of the pure state of consciousness or the self, the higher in us, not identified with the egocentric, selfish point of view, but recognizing his presence in our heart from that standpoint when you look at it. This is the argument that given to all till now. Continuing, he says, Najayate.
Najayate mriyate va kadachit.
Najayate mriyate va kadachit.
Nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah. Nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah. Ajo nitya shashvatoyam puranah. Ajo nitya shashvatoyam puranah. हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे
This great and higher state of consciousness, since it is not conditioned by time, because time is also an object of our consciousness, we are conscious of the flow of time. So the consciousness that is observing and recognizing and experiencing time, time is an object of consciousness. So this great consciousness beyond time, and naturally therefore, na jayate mriyate va kadachit. Unlike the world of Einsteinian world of things and beings, conditioned in time, and therefore everything that is conditioned in time must keep on in the state of flux, change, and change means death of the previous condition and the birth of a new condition is called a change. The morning has changed to the noon, meaning the morning is early, that condition is ended, and the noon has come. Yesterday died and today is born. Your childhood ended and the youth has started. When the youth ends, the middle age comes. The middle age ends and the old age starts. Every change means death of the previous condition and the birth of a new condition is called a change. The bird died when the flower is born. The flower dies when the fruit is born. Fruit decays when the seed is emerges out. The seed perishes when the seedling comes. This is what you call as change. This happens in the realm of time. So then, this higher state being not conditioned by time, the destiny of time and things belonging to time are not his. It's indicated by saying, Namriyade va kadachit, na jayade. It is never born or dying. He, the Lord, is not born or dying. Birth and death, beginning and end, is only in the realm of time. All things are born in Him, exist in Him, and dies and disappears in Him. Waves are born in the sea. The sea is not born when the waves are born. And when waves die, the sea doesn't die. Think. Thus this great reality is neither born nor dying. Na jayate, nor ever born. Na mriyadeva, nor ever dies. Vipaschit. Mriyadeva kadachit. Nayam bhutva bhavidava na bhuya. No modification. He, the Lord, is the same, ever the same in the past, present and future. Having been, it never changes. It is the same at all times. Ajo nitya, ajaha, unborn, meaning beginningless. Nitya, eternal, because it is not conditioned by time, there is no end. Shashwataha, ever the same, no modification. Ayam Puranaha, this most ancient. Time itself came from Him. He is the most ancient. When we in our ordinary conversation say if something is more ancient, we mean earlier in time. Which is the earliest time, please? Earliest time must be first century. Cannot be, because first century cannot be without the first 99 years. So that is earlier. Oh, I see. The first year. First year cannot be without 12 months. Oh, I see. So the beginning, most ancient is the first month. Month cannot be without 30 days. Oh, I see. First day. Day cannot be without 24 hours. Now I have understood. The most ancient will be the first hour. Hour cannot be without
60
minutes. Oh, first minute. Minute cannot be without seconds. Oh, I see. Now understood. The most ancient time would be the first
second.
See? Why did you talk English? First, second. No. Time is the interval between events. Is Einsteinian definition of time. The objective scientists thought over it and came to the conclusion and became the standard definition of time, interval between events. The Swami came and started talking. Habba, it ended. 1 hour. Oof. Somehow we lived through it. This is called the measurement of time. The 2 points, 2 intervals, is the interval between 2 events. I went to sleep, got up, then the interval. While sleeping there is no time. Why? There are no events at all. If events are not taking place for you, you have no concept of time. That is why under chloroform you have no time. In deep sleep, no time. Interval between events is time. The great subjective masters, the rishis, said that events taking place anywhere cannot give me my experience of time. My experience of time will come only interval between events that take place for me. Events outside taking place for me is called my experience. So the subjective masters defined time as interval between experiences. An experience is impossible without a thought. So the interval between thoughts is a measure of time. So from the infinite consciousness, when the first thought rose, there was no time. It was zero time. No? From A to B is 5 inches. What is the distance at A? Oh, Swamiji, don't ask such difficult questions. From A to B is 5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches. At A, what was the distance?
0.
0. Then 1 inch, 2 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch. B. When the first thought came, it was 0 time. When the second thought other than the first arose, there were two events, first thought experience, second thought experience. Therefore, the concept of time started. That is why time is called not first, but the unit of time is second. You have to say first, second. Because first is zero time. So the unit of time is second. When that second thought arose and I became conscious of it. Now then the question is, at what time is Paramatma, the consciousness? Oh, he, the most ancient, meaning 1 second before the zero time. Zero time is the first thought has risen. That from which the first thought rose is called as the Lord Narayana, the Creator. Therefore, what is his age?
1 second.
Most ancient. This is all that we can say. Don't repeat what the cheap missionaries talk, that Swamiji, your Krishna is a myth, while our Jesus is a historical entity. Ours is an historical religion. Yours is not historical, it is a myth. If at all God is to be represented in this world, it must be a myth. Because he is unborn. For our mental assumption, we must have a picture. Therefore, we conceive that Krishna or Jesus or a Buddha or whatever it is. These are all at best only an approximation, a God. He himself is not God, the Son of God, okay. Krishna is a myth, and the poor Hindu thinks that these Christians are unnecessarily saying our God is a myth. Your God has to be myth. And when they talk only to the poor, the illiterate, the unintelligent. That our God is true and real, yours is a myth. What do you mean by true and real? He is really born, Swamiji. To Joseph and Mary, he is born. He is born as the child of Mary. If your God is born, poor God, he has to die. So your God has already died. Poor padri or a priest, your God is died. If you want a God, come to us, because yours is a myth and it will be permanently available for you. It's a very wrong notion. Think? He is unborn. He is timeless. So when was the Supreme came? Most ancient. Sanatana is all that we can say. And that one word has got such a deep significance. Application of physics, the concept of time. Sanatana, this great truth. Ajo nitya shashvatoyam ayam sanatana, this most ancient, permanent, without any modification, ever the same. Ajaha, unborn. Nityaha, eternal, permanent, undying. Nahanyade hanyamane sharire, such a reality which is not belonging to the category of BMI, PFT, OET or the Einsteinian world of material objects and forms. Nahanyade, it is not destroyed. Hanyamane sharire, when the body is dead, it cannot be affected. It is not destroyed. When the wave dies, the ocean is not destroyed. When the bubble dies, the water is not destroyed. That is permanent, eternal, immutable. And Arjuna, you are thinking that, no, how can I destroy these people? You cannot, even if you want it. The real is never destroyed. The unreal is never permanent. From the highest standpoint, look at the world of plurality. There is no killing or, giving life. These are all only in the realm of change. From the infinite standpoint, it is ever the same.
So, how Gurudev explained, the understanding of Ajaha, unborn, and Shashwata, the timeless. So please remember one thing, when he says, Krishna is a myth, that is the assumption of the people. As a form, comes and goes, but as the reality, that is the only reality. And so this understanding must be clear that when one is identified with the BMI, one is in the realm of change. And so when one is in the realm of change, then one thinks that this is real. But the consciousness which is unborn, unchanging, undying, one who is identified with that, then for that person, there is no prarabdha also. So that is what the next shloka says, 461. Actually, 460 also emphasized that tadatmana tishthato asya uta prarabdha kalpana. One who is identified with that, where is the kalpana for prarabdha for that person? Prarabdham siddhyati tada yada dehatmana sthitihi dehatma bhavo naiveshtaha prarabdham tyajyata mataha. So that is repeated here. Prarabdham siddhyati tada. Prarabdha exists when yada dehatmana sthitihi, when a person identifies with the body. Dehatma bhavo naiveshtaha. When dehatma bhava is not there, prarabdham tyajyata mataha, then prarabdha has to be rejected. Now one says that yes, this is understood that for that person there is no prarabdha, but for the body there is prarabdha. That was said earlier shloka also, that the person is identified with the self, so for the Jivan Mukta there is no prarabdha, understood. But the body is still there. And so all the three, gross, subtle, causal body, prarabdha belongs to that body. Now you see the next shloka what it says. Sharirasyapi prarabdha kalpana bhrantirev hi adhyastasya kutas sattvam asatyasya kuto janihi ajatasya kuto nashaha prarabdham asata kutaha. Sharirasyapi prarabdha kalpana bhrantirev hi. If you think that prarabdha belongs to the body, then that also is wrong. It is illusion. Bhranti is a word. Bhranti revahi. That's an illusion. What is the logic for that? Adhyastasya kuta sattvam. Where is the reality for the superimposition? Like the snake is not real at all. The reality is only the rope. So the snake is unreal. Then asatyasya kuto jani. What is unreal? Where is the birth for that? Ajatasya kuto nashaha. And that which is unborn, there is no destruction for that. Prarabdham asata kutaha. So how can there be prarabdha for something which is unreal? See, step by step they build the argument so beautifully. This is for our understanding, as well as if we have to explain, we have to also see what is the level of understanding of the opposite person. If the opposite person is ready to understand absolute, then one can say this, that snake is an unreal thing. The rope only is. There is no snake. So if there is no snake, the snake is not born, the snake will not die. So where is prarabdha for that snake then? If something is born, then prarabdha belongs to that. And at some point in time, that karma will get exhausted, so it will die. So birth and death are the expressions of prarabdha karma. To experience the prarabdha karma phala, this body is born, it will grow, it will go through certain experiences, it will die. But that is applicable to what? That which is born and which is finite. Here it is superimposition. There is no real production. So for that superimposition, how can there be prarabdha? That which is an illusion and which is ultimately unreal. It is not even illusion. Illusion is a reasoning given for somebody who thinks the snake is real. To tell that person suddenly snake is not real, it is never created at all, that may not be easy because the mind of the person is disturbed. So one says snake is an illusion. But because we say it's an illusion doesn't mean it is real. Even relative reality of the snake is actually to understand the non-existence of the snake. Mithya is to understand asat. Mithya is not to justify this existence. And so here, that's why he says, Sharirasya api prarabdha kalpana, Bhrantirevahi, it is a delusion only. That the prarabdha exists for the body is a delusion. Because identifying with the self, one who identifies with the rope, there is no snake at all. There is no world, there is no body, there is no snake. Where is the question of prarabdha for the snake? So from the highest standpoint, from the self standpoint, from the Jivan Mukta standpoint, no prarabdha. Because body, mind, intellect, all the divisions of the experiencer, experienced, experiencing is all destroyed. But we still identify with our body. So Shastra says, okay, prarabdha exists for the saint. Then we feel so relieved. Chalo, prarabdha exists for the saint, And it is not dangerous that this realization, if one has, then the person will die. Yesterday we spoke about that. The realization, when it happens, if the person dies, then there will not be any Jivan Mukta left. So how to know that there is a state of Jivan Mukti then? That is from our standpoint. From Jivan Mukta standpoint, they have discovered that which is unborn. They have gone beyond birth and death, beyond all duality. So world only does not exist. Where is the question of Jivan Mukta being here, trying to prove that the scriptures are correct by their very existence, trying to share that knowledge? That is in the realm that we are. That realm also is actually not there for the Jivan Mukta. Like the example earlier given was Waker and the dream. No? The dream example, when we think deeply about that, the person was woken up, the whole dream world has ended. It is not that one character of the dream woke up. When that one character of the dream woke up, the whole dream world ended. For whom? The waker. Not for that character. That character never was. Now this is the absolute standpoint, higher standpoint. Now you see the next two verses are very hard hitting. The logical understanding has been built for somebody who is not able to understand this absolute, that it is unborn, timeless, changeless. For that person there is no body, no world, so where is prarabdha? The whole thing is dismissed because it's illusion, like the whole snake is dismissed. It was never there. It was actually unreal, but one said illusion for some point in time till one realized it is not there at all. It was never there. So if somebody is not able to accept that, then one says, yes, prarabdha is there because what has started cannot be ended, but it is not for the saint, it is for the body, mind, intellect. That's a lower standpoint. So now you see this, 463, he says that. Jnanena jnana karyasya samulasya layo yadi tishthatyayam katham deha iti shankavato jadan samadhatum bahya drishtya prarabdham vadati shrutihi. Jnanena ajnana karyasya samulasya yad layo yadi. With the knowledge of the self, when the ignorance and all its effects, samula, with the root cause, ignorance is the root cause. With the root cause, when the whole thing is destroyed, layo yadi, tishtati ayam katham deha. How can this body be there? Iti shankavato jadan. So this hypothesis about prarabdha, this is what the scripture gives to the people who can't understand this fact. Jadan, he says, the fools who entertain such thoughts. Samadhatum bahya drishtya. To explain to them who can't understand this fact, the Shruti says, okay, there is some prarabdha for the saint. Samadhatum bahya drishtya. Prarabdham vadati Shruti. It's a consolation for those who cannot understand the highest standpoint. Now, why this is important to know is because then we have not understood self-knowledge properly. If we think that ignorance is the root cause of bondage and ignorance of the self is what creates this whole prapancha also. Because I don't know who I am, I think I am the body, then the world appears real. From where the world came? So from Maya, the 5 elements. So from the unmanifest avyakta to the stamba, which is the inert thing in the world, to an atom, let us say. From atom to the unmanifest, the highest, everything is a product of ignorance. Ajnana karyasya. Ajnana is the ignorance. Karya is the effects of ignorance. So in the individual, it is ignorance of the self, ego, intellect, mind, prana, senses, body. This entire thing is the product of ignorance of the self. Now when ignorance of the self is destroyed, none of this will exist. That person has withdrawn to experience the self. One realizes that this whole thing is not there. That is their experience. Same thing in the world outside. Ishvara onwards, unmanifest onwards, till the entire gross world, the whole thing what we learn in Tattva Bodh, the Panchikarana, or even in Vivek Chudamani, we have seen that. Ishvara and then the Maya, then the 5 elements, and then the grossification of 5 elements, and then what all happens through that, the bodies, etc. This whole universe is a product of that Maya, which is the total ignorance. If the individual wakes up, the total doesn't exist anymore. Like what we discussed, the dream example. If one character of the dream wakes up, the whole dream world is gone. Like how Gurudev explained in the video. Time exists for whom? Only for I. For the distance between 2 events is called time. The interval between 2 events is time. But only for the events which I experience, not for some random events happening wherever. So this time depends on this I. That's why if I is not there, time is not there in deep sleep. So in the same way, when this individual has woken up, the total also disappears. There is no totality. Ajnana karyasya. So neither this body, mind, intellect exists, nor the world exists. If these two don't exist, Ishvara also doesn't exist. Only one absolute unborn consciousness is unchanging. That is the realization of these masters. But now somebody can't understand that standpoint. So those people are called Jadan. Tishtati ayam katham deha. Because if we say ignorance is destroyed, the cause is destroyed, but prarabdha exists, then what we are saying? That prarabdha and karma is not connected to ignorance at all. It is independent. Now that is a fallacy. How can karma be done without karta? Karta is because of ignorance only. So karma, karta, karma phala, they are all products of ignorance. They are not independent. So if one says that ignorance is destroyed but prarabdha exists, it is like saying, okay, mud is destroyed but pot exists. How can pot exist without mud? The mud pot has no existence without mud. Mud is the main cause. So if one says that this ignorance is destroyed, jnanena ajnana karyasya samulo layaha. Root ignorance, the main ignorance is gone. So it's like saying I cut the root of the tree, I destroy the root, but the tree exists. Or it cannot exist. So the level must be very clear. Very beautifully the scripture here says now. Vivek Chudamani says this is completely not acceptable from Advaita standpoint, because then realization is useless. That even after destruction of ignorance, the body is still there and the prarabdha of the jiva is still there. Then what did ignorance do? No, Swamiji, ignorance of that person is destroyed. So that for that person it is realization, but for us the body is there. That's a lower standpoint. That scripture is saying samadhatum. It is only for a consolation. For somebody who is not able to understand or experience this state of absolute truth. And that person gets bewildered, saying, oh God, prarabdha only does not exist, body does not exist. Then that person gets scared. So when one is not ready, then scripture says, okay, prarabdha for the body, mind, intellect of the saint exists, but the saint is not identified with it, saint is identified with Atma, over. Then one feels very happy. Okay, thank you. It's so good. Now I understood. Samadhatum bahya drishtya. It is only a temporary solution given to us by the scripture for our consolation. That is not the reality. Sometimes mother consoles the child and the child feels very happy. She may say some bluff and console the child. The child feels very happy. It is like that. Samadhatum bahya drishtya. Prarabdham vadati shrutihi. Shruti is also like mother only. So she will try to console some children who are very disturbed when they suddenly realize ki acha, the prarabdha will not be there. Then somebody says, oh, but to that karma which already started, what happens to that? Are karta only never was there. How karma happened? That absolute standpoint, none of this, even the whole creation never took place. The snake never came out of the rope. So what about the karma that the snake has done? Are snake never came out. Oh, then what is all this? So many things we are learning Vivek Chudamani. From absolute standpoint, it is all not even existing. And what Vivek Chudamani is trying to tell us is that only our nature is that unborn pure consciousness. So many times in Vivek Chudamani it came or not. Again and again it keeps on coming. Jati niti kula gotra duragam brahma tattvamasi bhavayatmani. Again the next, after this, the 7 verses which come, they are again about that Brahman. So again and again the assertion keeps happening that you are Brahman, you are not the body. Shrutis keep telling us. And that as Brahman there is no duality in you. And if you see any duality, it is only product of ignorance. So if duality is product of ignorance, when ignorance is destroyed, duality has to be destroyed. And duality destroyed doesn't mean duality existed and it got destroyed. This also we have discussed earlier, that moksha is not freedom from bondage in Vedanta. Moksha is to realize that there was no bondage at all. I was always free. Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swarupa. Gurudev's last name is that. That is our true nature. Never was I bound. For the sun, where is darkness? There is no darkness. Wherever the sun goes, there will only be light. For the Atma, how can there be bondage, which is Jnana Swarup? How can that which is Jnana Swarup fall into ignorance? And then because of ignorance have karta bhav, bhokta bhav, and then the world is real. None of that, all gone. Ajnana karyasya samulasya layaha. Fully destroyed. Oh, but what will happen to the world? Again and again our mind will come back to that, you see. Then how is this Mahatma teaching? Who said Mahatma is teaching? From Mahatma's standpoint, there is no teaching happening. Again, these standpoints are from because we are talking at this level of the reality of the world. So we say this is one standpoint, relative, that is absolute standpoint. From absolute standpoint, there is no other standpoint. That's the simplest fact. From relative standpoint, there is one absolute standpoint, we may say, because relative standpoint is the superimposition on the absolute standpoint. From the snake standpoint, there are two. There is rope, there is snake. But from the rope standpoint, there is only rope. There is no two standpoints. So now those things are easy to understand in rope and snake, or even in the waker and dreamer. But when it comes to our life, still we think that there is two. That's why the only method is learn to withdraw the senses and go beyond the body, mind, intellect to realize that none of this exists. Not even, it is not that at the time of realization it gets dissolved. No, it did not exist. It did not come into being. Ajaha means that, unborn. The rope alone existed at all times. No snake. Never. And we go on celebrating Appa, birthday after birthday, and then, the anniversary, and then what all we do. For what? That which never came into being. Gurudev. So we find out, okay, when was Gurudev born? So if you see the tithi wise, the date will be something very different. So he was born on the Ram Navami day in 1916. Now you find out what is Ram Navami day of 1916, it will not be May 8th. It will be some other date, I think April 19th or April 25th or some such date it is. So people used to celebrate, So they will celebrate Tithi day. Then they will celebrate that English date also. Whichever that English calendar date is, they used to celebrate that. And then there was a third date that somebody, Gurudev told some people, randomly he said May 8th, Because sannyasi who is teaching us what is unborn, undying, unchanging, to that sannyasi if you go and ask, what is your birthday? It makes no sense. So at one point in time, three birthdays of Gurudev were being celebrated. The English birthday of that year, 1916, then the Ram Navami day, and then this May 8th. And people celebrate, and Gurudev allowed that celebration to happen. Why? Because he said, if people are coming together and Hindu cause gets benefited, let them come together and do. There would not be any personal glorification in that. Gurudev is beyond that. He realized the absolute truth. Where is personal glory in that? So he allowed people to do that. They have to come together. They have to, either they will do some sadhana, or they will come and speak something, or some puja, something they will do, where everyone will come together, participate, and there is a joyous occasion. But then people started saying that which is the actual date? You please tell us. And 3 birthdays are being celebrated, so there is confusion. And so Gurudev said, Chalo, May 8th is the birthday. So from that day we are celebrating May 8th. If we actually ask ourselves, what would Gurudev want us to do? See, birthday celebration of Gurudev, there is no problem. One can celebrate, do. We at least remember with gratitude the great master and try to live up to his vision. That is fine. But what would Gurudev want us to do? to realize our nature as unborn consciousness and to understand that that is what he was, unborn consciousness. And when it is unborn, where is the question of any birth? He would always say sometimes, that this from the glory of the unmanifest to the misery of the manifest is birth. And we are celebrating misery. From the glory of the unmanifest, infinite, absolute, pure consciousness standpoint, from there to the misery of the manifest, because that which is born will die. That's what he said in the talk. That Krishna also is born, then he will die. Jesus is born, died. Because anyone who is born will die. And that also because we experience time, so we experience birth and change and death. The timeless entity is unborn, unchanging, undying. That is pure consciousness. What prarabdha for that now? That is our true self, unborn. And hence, when Ajo Nitya Shashvatoyam Puranaha, it is said, it is unborn, Ajaha Nitya, it is eternal. Never it came into being in time. Ajo Nitya. See, this definition of Nitya, no? What remains same in past, present and future is to negate past, present and future. Is not to validate time. It is to say that time does not exist. Ajo Nitya, it is timeless entity. There is no time. Time is only when there is change. Like two thoughts, na? When Gurudev said. So it is timeless entity, unborn entity, Ajo Nitya Shashvataha. It is permanent, changeless. That is our true self. The purpose of studying the Shastra and the Shruti is to understand that absolute standpoint. And so to make somebody understand, that is the highest objective. If that person can't understand, then one says, okay, at one level below, there is prarabdha for the body, for the jiva, for that the realized master. And so it doesn't belong to the self, it belongs to the BMI. So this 463 and 464, they destroy this relative standpoint also. And that's why I'm saying we should be very careful when we speak about this. If the opposite person is not ready to understand this, we should not bring this standpoint, because they'll get very confused. After building up so many things in Vivek Chudamani and step by step lifting the vision up, then Vivek Chudamani is saying this did not even happen. And so there is no question of prarabdha for the saint, because there is no creation only. So that's where it is now. 464 also is the same thought. Natu dehadi satyatva bodhanaya vipaschitam yata shrutera bhiprayaha paramarthaika gocharaha. Natu dehadi satyatva bodhanaya. This idea is not to prove that the body is real. The prarabdha of the saint exists even after realization. If the Shruti is saying, it is not to prove that the body is real, that it exists even after ignorance is destroyed. Natu. It is not for that. Dehadi satyatvat bodhanaya na. Yata shruter abhiprayaha. The objective of the Shruti is actually to lead us to the Paramartha, Paramarthaika Gocharaha. Because that is what the main objective of the Shruti is. The Veda is only trying to tell us that, look, there is only absolute pure consciousness. Then why is the Shruti saying about reincarnation? When he says, Shruter Abhiprayaha, it means the scripture also has in many places indicated about reincarnation. Like the same Kathopanishad which says Ajo Nitya Shashvatoyam Purano. That Kathopanishad also says, Yoni Manye Prapadyante Sharirattvaya Dehinaha. Yatha Karma Yatha Shrutam. They will get body according to their karma, according to their jnana. So reincarnation exists. Now one gets confused. Acha, at one standpoint you are saying this didn't come into existence. Then you are saying it is a, the reincarnation is a fact. But from which standpoint? And for what purpose? As long as I am not ready to accept the absolute purpose, in my purity of mind is not there, the intuitive understanding doesn't rise about that self, then the jiva is real, the world is relatively real, jiva bhav is relatively real, and in that there will be cycle of birth and death. But the objective of that explanation is not to give reality to the world or to the body. The objective of that is only to say that, Arey, wake up to the absolute, that is your true nature, and get free from the cycle of birth and death. So so it may look like an apparent contradiction, that the scripture is contradicting itself. But it is not an apparent contradiction, because the scripture is talking to people of different levels. And of course, these levels don't exist at all from absolute standpoint. Teacher also does not exist, student also does not exist, teaching also is not happening. Like the waker example, one who has woken up, the whole dream world is finished, it is never there. Example, limitation of that dream example is that there is a dream state from which one actually woke up. So one went to sleep and the dream was projected, and then from that dream one woke up. That's the limitation of dream example. Here we cannot apply in that sense, saying, oh, that the dream was real. No, as long as it was real, as long as we were in the dream, it was real. Only when we woke up, it became unreal. So that means this is real as long as we are in it. No, that's the limitation of this dream example. This does not exist even now. No creation exists even now. We are not realizing that. That is our limitation here. Even at this point in time, there is no creation. None of us exist, nor there is this world, nor there is any teaching happening, nothing happening. But now that is the absolute standpoint, and that is the only standpoint. Waker is the only standpoint. The dream world came into being and went back into waker is a lower standpoint. It cannot apply to infinite, because infinite cannot produce, cannot modify, cannot even appear. Like the rope will never appear as a snake. Is a delusion in the mind of the opposite person who is seeing that, oh, there's a snake there. No, but delusion exists or not? No, it does not exist. From rope standpoint, there is no snake, nor delusion. From Brahman standpoint, no world, no Maya, no creation, no Jiva, no relative reality, nothing. Only one standpoint. That is called, it is Advaita. That's what Gaudapada Acharya also wrote in his commentary on the Mandukya Upanishad. In the Karika, he wrote that. Na nirodho nacha utpattihi. There is no dissolution, there is no creation. Na nirodho nacha utpattihi. Very nice shloka it is. Na nirodho na cha utpattihi, na baddho na cha sadhaka. There is no bondage, nor there is a sadhak. Na mumukshur na vai muktaha. There is no mumukshu, nor there is a realized person. Iti esha paramarthata. This is absolute realization. This is the absolute truth. So that one has to be very clear about. There is only one standpoint at all times. Limitation of language to say at all times. There is only one standpoint. That which is infinite. And that is the standpoint which the Shruti wants to tell us. That yata shruter abhipraya. This is the abhipraya of the Shruti. The main abhipraya of the Shruti is this. And that's why the Shruti can even say it is that state in which the Shruti also gets falsified. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it says that yatra vedaha avedaha bhavanti. In that absolute standpoint, the scripture also becomes negated. It gets negated. Why? Because there is no duality. Where is the scripture there? So this is the ultimate aspect where prarabdha is negated even for the jiva, because jiva only does not exist. When a person has woken up, ignorance is gone, Again, when we say ignorance is gone, ignorance was never there. That's the realization. It's not that ignorance was there and now by knowledge it went. That's not correct at all. That the example of the sun. Sun, no darkness for the sun. That which is jnana rupa does not get bound at all. That's why it says nacha buddha navai mumukshuhu. Nacha buddha nacha sadhaka, and no mumukshu and no mukta also. Ityesha paramarthata. That is the supreme absolute standpoint. So now that portion concludes the section about prarabdha for the saint. So if the question is asked, does prarabdha exist for the saint? It does not exist for the saint. It actually does not even exist from the absolute standpoint. But if we are not able to see that, then one says, okay, there is a relative standpoint. The saint is not identified with the body, but the body will last as long as the prarabdha karma is there because it's already started. So the saint will go through it only with detachment, and it can be exhausted only by going through the karma. One cannot escape. So you will see the body of the saint is there and work etc. is happening. But for the saint, there is no prarabdha. Because the saint lives in detached state. That's the lower standpoint. Now the next 7 verses, they again come back to the absolute standpoint. And each of those verses will end with that line, Neha Nanaste Kinchana. That is from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. That there is no duality at all. Because that's what the scripture said. The Shruti wants to tell us. And that's what Vivek Chudamani mentioned. That there is no duality. So that we will take up tomorrow.
Namaste, Swamiji. It's not a question, it's just a check whether my understanding is correct. So Shankaracharya is first saying that Prarabdham doesn't belong to the Sakshi. Then he says it belongs to the Ahamkara. And then he says that it does not belong to the Ahamkara also.
He never said it belongs to Ahamkara.
Sorry?
He didn't say it belongs to Ahamkara. It belongs to the Jiva, the body, the body, mind, intellect of that realized person in whom that Badhita Ahamkara exists, not the real Ahamkara. So Prarabdha does not belong to Sakshi at any point in time because Sakshi is the witness who is untouched. If at all Prarabdha exists, it exists for the Badhita Ahamkara, not the Ahamkara as we understand our ego. For a realized person, the Ahamkara is a Badhita Ahamkara. So Prarabdha exists for the Badhita Ahamkara. That is level 1. The level 2 is there is no Prarabdha because there is no creation.
Okay, thank you.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.